Hello, everyone. Welcome back. If you have done sessions with us here today, welcome back. I hope you've had a good day. The sun has started shining, so that is always a plus. So we're very excited when the sun shines. I hope you've had an amazing day. It's been fab today. We've had puppetry, dancing, Q&As with producers, everything nerd out with Jordan Lee Smith. How fantastic is that? It's been a great day, and we've got an amazing lineup for you tomorrow as well. Now, today, our Q&A is one of the Q&As we look at. So we're bringing out a performer, and we talk about their career. And sometimes someone might have been a performer for 25 years, and someone might be fairly fresh and new out of college. If you want to ask them questions, and then you can. If you are a subscriber, please, in the live comment section, you can write your questions there, and we'll come to them as we go. Or maybe you just want to sit back and listen, which is also fine. But we do love a question, so please feel free to ask. And that might be Ahmed, who's on, or with to me. Equally, we will chat through that. So, without further ado, let us bring in Ahmed. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good, James. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, excited.
Well, let's get straight into it. Who is Ahmed? What's it about? So you graduated last year.
Yes.
So start there and just tell us about you. Tell us about your where you come from in terms of performance, and how long have you been doing it? Go for it.
Cool. Yeah, so I graduated from Arts Ed last year, 2019, on the musical theatre course. I feel like the best way to do this is just to go all the way back to the start, early.
I wish I'd got some wine and I could crisp. Really favorite.
So I'm the youngest of four. Yeah, I'm going back to the very start. I'm the youngest of four, and I was born to two Sudanese parents, so we're from Sudan, and I was born in Saudi Arabia, and we moved to Shrewsbury in the West Midlands when I was 8 months old. So all I've ever known is England, really. But yeah, so I'm the youngest of four, and they, I think we all do quite different things. So my older sister works in a lab, kind of like hematology, brainy stuff. My brother is an Apple technician. My sister works in housing, and then jazz hands at the end of the road. So yeah, I think it started kind of around year 4, year 5. I kind of sung in a band, and I enjoyed singing primarily, and I played the piano. So music was kind of where I started. And the one of the drama teachers at the time was like, why don't you have a go at auditioning for one of the school shows? And I'd never really done any kind of dancing or acting or anything like that. So the first show I properly did was Little Shop of Horrors. So the teacher just said, you can sit in the band pit, you're going to be the plant, so you don't have to act, you don't have to dance or anything. So I think that's where my first love of kind of acting and musicals came from. And yeah, from then I'm going to take a bit of a jump to A-level time. I kind of knew at that point it was kind of what I wanted to do. So it's just a case of convincing traditional parents, I guess. Mum was really on board. She was absolutely up for it. But Dad was the person I had to convince. So I took a year out. I worked, did some shows outside of school with the theatre group that I was in. Taught there, worked in one of their little shops that they had a vintage shop with all the costumes and stuff. So I took a year to take that year out and assess this is 100% what I want to do. So yeah, at the end of that year, I auditioned and ended up at Arts Ed. Yeah,
incredible. And so I love that. I love the first you sat in a band. My first ever part at school was a pair of legs late, and drama was I loved, and they were like, great. Oh, we've cast the plays, but we do need someone to be the dead person. And basically I screamed and my legs dropped out and just sort of fell out, and I stayed there the whole of Act 1. And then Act 2 they were like, I think the doctor is here right at the end of the play, and I walked in and then it went to black, and that was my first experience on stage.
Brilliant.
It was awesome. But I love that. I love that you sort of sat in the pit, and you probably thought it was, this is a doddle just sitting down here.
Easy.
You don't have to learn anything. Just got the score. I can just sort of rattle that out. Fantastic. I love that. I'd like to actually come on a bit later on about that, culturally, parents and the arts, but because we've had that brought up a couple of times. So if you don't mind, a bit later on, we'll chat about that and about that convincing the parents. I just want to say we've got a fan already, Tom Dickerson. I'm your biggest fan, Ahmed. Do you know Tom?
Yes, I know Tom very well. Thank you, Tom.
There we go. Welcome, Tom. So tell us about that at Great College. And did you do the 3-year or 1 year? What did you do there?
Yes. So I did the 3-year course, 3-year musical theatre course. Yeah.
And what was about that, and what it was like at Arts Ed, and what did you? Because I love that idea that people go in and had you danced a lot, and because I know they really push the dance side and all that. Like what did you go in going, oh yeah, this is great, and then what did you kind of go, oh my god? Because we have a lot of people who are going to be grads watching the CCI, so they might be going to college next term or whatever it is, or they might even be partway through their university course. So what were the things that you were like terrified about, but then you really grew in?
Dance, 100% dance. I think having never danced before, and to go into a musical theatre dance audition, I was really, really stressed. So I kind of I knew that Arts Ed was one of the schools that I really wanted. So I kind of tactically put that towards the end of my auditions and kind of used the first ones as like an audition for the audition. So I think in total I auditioned for 6 schools. I did Arts Ed Mountview, GSA, Central, UCLan and Chichester. So the first time I danced properly, kind of technical, that kind of stuff, was at those auditions. And I think I remember the Arts Ed audition, and everyone was kind of in their like vests and tights and kind of stuff, and I rocked off my trackies, and it was interesting. It was the singing definitely that got me through the first bit, and then I had an email saying they'd like to see you dance again. They saw that you didn't really know what you were doing, but there was a bit of potential, so I had to actually come back and dance again. But that was just a one-on-one ballet and technique class with the head of dance and one of the jazz teachers, which blows my mind looking back. Like, for them to take that much time and care over not even a student, a potential student, was just mind blowing. So I think I knew from the very start that the dance was going to be the biggest struggle. Yeah.
Amazing. I love that. So then you graduated. Did you get an agent straight out of college? How did that work?
Yeah. So in third year we did the first show I was in was Once on This Island, and I'd met with a couple of agents, and the one that really kind of stuck with me from the very start was Amy O'Neill from Jonathan Aaron, who it wasn't even like, oh, I really like the agency, or like, it was just a whole, everything I kind of loved about her and the agency. She was really, it was one-to-one care. It wasn't just business. It was, she just, and I think she was one of the only agents where when Chris kind of sends you the emails that said, rather than saying, oh, hi, can you email me at blah, 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 it just had the agency's number, and he said, Amy O'Neill would like to arrange a meeting, but could you call her? So she was the only agent I actually spoke to first before actually meeting, which was really nice, because that first phone call then also lasted for ages, and it was just, you really felt like, I feel like with a lot of Amy's clients that are my friends, that you feel like her only client, which is really, really, really nice, considering she's got some huge people.
Fantastic. She is great. We love Amy. I've known Amy for a very long time, and absolutely lovely, lovely, lovely person. So then 2019 you graduated, and things went quite well, didn't they? You did quite well.
This first year has been really, really, really exciting. The first thing I kind of did was a little workshop of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cinderella, the one that's about to be hopefully coming back next year, and that was really cool because there was another girl from my year in that called Charlie, and we were kind of sat there days in a room with people like Ruthie Henschel and like Carrie Hope Fletcher, and it was pretty crazy that a week ago we were there doing our exercises and stuff, and next week we're kind of being treated like professionals and in an amazing room and under Lloyd Webber's his musical direction as well, which was it was really mind blowing. And then funnily enough, ended up also doing one of his shows, Joseph, over the summer as well.
Fantastic. So how long was that contract? Because I think last year there were kind of broken contracts with Joseph, weren't they?
Yeah, it ended up being 12 weeks of actual shows, but because it was a completely new reimagined version, the rehearsal process was, I think, almost six or 7 weeks. Yeah, it was long.
Was Andrew Geeter in your class, in your cast?
Was he your
Pharaoh?
Sorry,
Andrew Geeter, was he your Pharaoh?
No, it was Jason Donovan actually. He came back to.
Oh right, so the one you did the one. Sorry, at the
Palladium.
not the tour. The Palladium. Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Wow, amazing experience.
And that was also really lovely.
What a stay.
Yeah, and it was lovely because five people from my year were also in it. So there's this kind of sense of you kind of go in knowing people as well, which is really nice. And Jack also in my year who was playing Joseph as well. So incredible. Yeah, it was what first job, but yeah, it was really exciting. It was really brilliant.
And then what happened after that? So so that was that like, did you have to leave early? Did you go straight into that from college? Like,
I think I left a little bit early for Cinderella, but then Joseph kind of worked with the dates. So yeah, I think Joseph started at just at the normal time. Yeah, so that was, I think as well. Sorry to go on a bit of a tangent. Joseph, I ended up being a swing on Joseph, and I think I never, considering I'd never ever danced before, I never thought I'd be able to be a swing, let alone on my first job. So I think I learned more on that than I ever thought I could, because not only are you trying to learn everything else and the tracks and everything, but you're on the outside for a lot of it. So like, especially during tech, you're kind of seeing everyone work, you're seeing the team, the technical team and everything. It's kind of like a fly on the wall feeling. It was really cool.
Just in case somebody is watching and they don't know what a swing is, just explain exactly what a swing does and what your role as a swing was.
Cool. So a swing covers all the ensemble roles, basically. So you have off-stage swings and on-stage swings. For this version, we had off-stage swings. So I would be chilling in my dressing room every night. And then if, for instance, someone was ill or someone in the ensemble was covering another role, then I would step in and do their track. So there was 2 male swings and 2 female swings. And we kind of split it up. So we had like first swing covers and second swing covers. So, but also then you can end up going on for a second cover if the other swing's already on. So yeah, it was really kind of on your toes kind of stuff.
And what were the numbers? How many people did you have to cover?
So in total, it was 8 brothers. Yeah, 8 tracks, which is incredible. When you kind of watch a show and you think, now I have so much admiration for watching shows and thinking there's someone that knows all of this. Yeah. And also doing other jobs and knowing how it feels to be a swing and just I have massive respect for them. Knowing what they've been through.
I was a swing on a show and also studied 3 of the lead roles. So swung all the male. I also was an on-stage swing, so had my own track, covered all the male tracks. There was two male swings like with you, and between us we covered the male tracks. But then I understudied 3 of the lead roles. So so the learning process is a lot of dribbling and crying and rocking back and forth. But once you know it, it's like it's amazing, and you just kind of go, oh no, everyone's in. Oh, just track. Oh, that's boring. Yeah. Sometimes I'll be doing like 3 or 4 things, 3 or 4 people's different, grabbing 4 or 5 chairs in the bar scene and moving them all, it's just crazy. Or having to do like you almost become, when there's lots of people off, it almost becomes an entire part, because you're kind of picking up maybe 4 or 5 lines, but in a scene it's like, oh, it's actually just me and them, right? Okay, because everyone else is ill. I loved it. I absolutely loved swinging. It's definitely like a brain. Was that something you enjoyed doing, or are you just like, because I do know friends of mine who were like, I did it once, and I kind of got halfway through the contract and sort of went into the office and said, can you please make somebody else the swing? I can't cope with this anymore. And like, how did it work for you?
I think I'm one of those, not that I hated it, but I think I've done it and I won't do it again now. Yeah. Unless I think the show was something I think it's got to be more about the show now. Yeah. But I did really enjoy it. Funnily enough, that we opened on the 27th of June or something, and my first show on was like first week of August. So I had a lot of time thinking, oh, cool, I'm chilling. I might actually not go on. This would be a steal. But obviously it happened. And the first night on, also it being my West End debut as well as my swing debut, that was the crazy thing. So I think adrenaline got me through that. But yeah, I don't know if I'd do it again. Yeah.
Again, I've known people to cover and swing, and they're like, yeah, okay, cool, and it's always the parts, especially you'll get like a resident director will say, oh, focus on these two, they focus on those two, and then you can learn those ones next week or whatever. Guaranteed, first or second night on, you're on for the role that you didn't I went on as my first lead cover on in the West End, and I hadn't rehearsed half of it, and I got the call, and it was like, hi sir, what are you doing? Are you I was like, yeah, cool, could you come into the theatre? I'm like, right, no, we think you're going to be on tonight, which meant get here now, you're on tonight. I was like, okay. And they had to literally rehearse half of I'd only done like 3 of the scenes, so the rest of the show, and it was one of the leads. I was like, and it was just such an out-of-body experience. And I just think as long as you know your script and your songs, I think everything else you can kind of make up. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you're in that situation where you haven't been directed properly, and they were like, right, and you just have to kind of go. And it's amazing the way the other actors are with everything. And then after that, RSC.
Yes, yeah.
How was that?
That was crazy. That was yeah. So I mean, I say so far, there's not been a lot, but that's my favorite job. 100%. It's. I think Joseph was also a kind of made in the room kind of new version, but to be in the room of an original RSC musical whilst it was being created was just, it was mind blowing to have people like Greg Doran, who directed it, and David Williams was in and out. It was just a creative like masterpiece to see those people work. That was really exciting, because you do things, you'd make choices in the room, and that is now the track. Like we were playing like 13, 14, 15-year-olds at times, and one day I said to one of the I think to Sarah, the associate director, I think maybe my character would like some football cards or something like that. Cut to like after lunch, stage management had already bought like massive packs of Match Attacks, and that stayed into the show and was now my daily track. And if the show has another life, will be that track. It's really exciting to kind of put your mark on that, and musically as well, like Guy Chambers and Robbie Williams, like it was just brilliant. I really, really, really loved that. And to be in Stratford as well, which is really similar to my hometown, Shrewsbury, just felt like a home away from home, really, and a nice break from London.
I love it. Now, we can't mention what you will be doing later in the year because it hasn't been announced yet, so we won't talk about that, but it's certainly how we met in the autumn. That's why you're here. But you are working on another project at the moment that we basically brought you in for, and let's talk a little bit about that. It's a one-man show. Stay Awake Jake, written by the wonderful Tim Gilvin. So tell us about, we're doing the album recording, so I'm going to let you tell everyone about that.
Yeah, so Stay Awake Jake, it started off as you know, James, really, really small. Just started as this tiny little lockdown project. Everyone's got a bit of time. When I auditioned for it, it was kind of maybe record them at your house. It's just going to be this nice little chilled thing to pass the time, with the possibility of something later, maybe like a concert or something. So in my head, I was thinking, it'll be a cute little lockdown kind of passion project kind of thing. And since then, snowballed into this amazing project, which has now got a director, an MD, an orchestrator. Like it's completely exploded. And so Stay Awake Jake, it's about a guy called Jake, obviously, who is traveling through the night to save his relationship. So he's driving across the country, and it starts with like a voicemail, and it gives little away. But as the show goes on and he revisits memories and on the road thinks about what's going to happen when he gets there, etc., like it's you find out a lot. And it's quite lovely because there's the thing of the one-man show is there's no one to walk on and be like, hey Jake, how you doing? You're feeling sad, aren't you? I've realized this happened. Like there's no expositional dialogue like that, so you have to tell everything yourself. So the songs in a one-man show or a one-woman show or even a two-hander have to be songs and lyrics have to be brilliant, and Tim has absolutely smashed that. Like, yeah, it's I'm really excited about it.
So some people may have seen that it was performed at the Vaults, won a few awards, and now it's in its reincarnation. The wonderful Grace Taylor directing. Tamara Sanger is musical director, which is fab. And yes, we kind of took it from, we kind of helped grow that from being what you talked about, but, sort of a bedroom recording of the album. And now we managed to bring in the wonderful Nick Pinchbeck, who's brought his studio into it, and it's become a very exciting project. Steve McGill is involved, and so we're very excited about it. Very excited about things, and we'll have some more announcements about that. But please go onto Twitter and follow Stay Awake Jake. Look it up; it's awesome. And here's our star. Tom is asking, who was your favorite brother to cover?
Funnily enough, so there were 8 tracks, 6 were brothers and 2 were the guards. And just the way it worked out, I always covered the guards. So they had brother songs, as they had their wives, etc. But so out of the named brothers, I never actually went on for them. So I covered one as like a lead cover, who was Izaka, who sings Benjamin Calypso, which people might know. And then my other 4, one of them never went off, and then the others I was already on. So the other swing covered him. So yeah, I had I think out of the 2 guards, Michael Cortez's track was the funnest to cover because in Those Canaan Days, which is known as like the French song, where they kind of, it's really chilled. Joanne Hunter, the choreographer, put in this massive like can and like pas de deux. It was phenomenal. And that was my favorite because he had bits to do in that, which is fun.
Love that. Nayara, I hope I've said that right. Have you found that your process for preparing to do a show each night, depending on the show or who you're in for, changes a lot? So what is the process of show prep each time in these different shows you've been in? Do you have like your own thing? Do you have a system? Is it different each time?
I'd like to think that I have some kind of like ritual or something I do every show, but I kind of listen to my body into what it needs each time. So the very first time I went on, I was just sat there looking at my notes, watching videos, that kind of thing. So when I settled into it, I kind of got into autopilot a bit. And another little thing, some people say like they struggle with doing a show like on an without eating or eating too much, and I have to have like a massive meal before a show to kind of drop my stomach and relax and stuff. So I guess that's part of it. But also commuting, like when I was in London doing Joseph, I had the commute to kind of clear my head and chill and listen to music. A lot of listening to music chills me out. But in Stratford, I was living a 30-second walk away from the theatre, so that had its own thing of going from home straight into performance mode, I guess. there's definitely a thing. I'm sure loads of actors will say that there's an autopilot kind of thing that comes with doing a show for a while. And I've never done a year-long contract, so I'm sure that's completely different in itself. But I feel like I haven't hit that autopilot that much, which is kind of nice because it keeps things fresh. And I'm enjoying doing shorter contracts, but I feel like if I do a year-long contract, that might change a lot. Yeah. And also for swinging, I guess for the different 2 parts that I went on for, the rehearsal before the show, you have to practice with your partner who I had never done a lift with before, etc. So yeah, I guess you kind of have to listen to your resident choreographer, your dance captain, and kind of make sure you're safe more than anything. Yeah.
I love that. So talking about your family and that process, how did you convince your dad then? What was it that you said to convince your dad?
So funnily enough, we were in Sudan on holiday when I kind of went, okay, 100%, this is what I want to do. So that's when I told my mum, and I guess because culturally it's not the go-to thing. We'd be meeting up with old friends and family, and they'd be saying, "Oh, what do you want to do?" And this concept of become a musical theatre performer is completely alien to them. So I guess it kind of also might have made my dad feel uncomfortable as well, because a lot of their sons, like the thing was either going to be a doctor or they're going to do this or that. So I guess for him, not only for me, he felt uncertainty as well. Like he'd say to me, he doesn't want to kind of worry about me in later life. So I think that was when I was nervous, but I knew that was the right time to do it, because that was when I could see it all affecting me and him the most. So that's when I literally went on UCAS and said to my mum, I'm going to do it, and she helped me with him. But I don't think he fully got it until I started auditioning and started getting recalls, and he would be looking it up himself and seeing how competitive this was. So I think once he started seeing that happen, he was fully on board. I mean, now he loves it so much. Like he's my biggest fan.
Of course he is. It's something we've spoken about a lot, during the Black Lives Matter marches that have gone on, and other conversations we had. The wonderful Sheila Curran is an actor, and she's British Asian, and again a community that, like you're saying, you want be doctors, want to be professionals, and so on and so forth. And the thing that it'd be interesting to hear your views on this, is that what we do as casting directors, and what we've always tried to do, and what we intend on doing even more of, is with diversity in casting, is trying to get more into the communities of where it's not normally seen as a profession to go into. And so I have 2 questions about that, and we've had different answers from other people. Is why do you think that, first of all, why do you think that, certain communities look and go, no, that's not a route that I want you to take as a profession? Is there something you can, like, what do you think is your views on that?
I think most of all, especially having my parents growing up in Sudan, accessibility, like there's not a West End, there's obviously TV, and they've the TV stars, etc. But them knowing so many people, that the gap between people wanting to do it and actually getting there and doing it was just astronomical, and I guess impossible in their eyes. I think that's the same in a lot of cultures. So I think it's also just hereditary. Like it's been a thing where like my mum was a carer, and her family. I think it's just this engineers, doctors, that kind of thing is just, I guess, expected, which isn't. I mean, it's, in this day and age, it's not the only way to go, I guess. And to follow your passion and what you want to do now is actually accessible. And I think, obviously, if my parents hadn't have moved here, then I don't know where I'd be now. But the fact that it's accessible, I think, yeah. And and a slight tangent as well. Our we've got a little family friend who basically is my cousin, basically, and he went to an open call for Lion King when he was 10, 11, a lot younger, and ended up getting young Simba. Spent a year and a half in that, and then went to do Adrian Mole, and slowly is now like the lead in a Netflix series and in the Secret Garden film he's playing Dickon. And I think them seeing that happen and seeing that it can happen to someone else of the same heritage as me, that this isn't a lost cause. Yeah,
because I think that was a big thing that a lot of actors have said. You know, when we watch TV and films, you know, Western TV and films or stage, that a lot of the time there isn't the figurehead that says, look, it's okay. Look, there's all these actors from the same background as us that have made it, or directors or producers or whatever it is. Is that something you think, or that is part of it as well in the UK?
In terms of my own specific heritage, or do you think, or just people that look like me?
Yeah. No, your own heritage. You're absolutely your own heritage.
I think that's also difficult. I know of very, very, very few Sudanese actors, which is tough, but also it's good to kind of be that next generation, I guess, and pave the way. I don't know if you've watched Game of Thrones, but the guy who plays Prince Doran is Alexander Sadiq, who's a Sudanese actor, and that was really only one of the very few that I kind of saw. And there's another actor I know called Ahmed, who's a year below me, who's graduating, I think, Lambda, who I know, but there's not many of us, I guess, and it's. I guess you could say, oh, there's less competition, but also there's less of us, there's less representation. So that is a big part of it. Like seeing people that are my heritage. Yeah, it's tough.
It looks like what could be great is that you and the people you just mentioned will pave that way. You know, that is really exciting, and it's that thing of saying, well, it has to start somewhere, right? You know, as we are in a time where the global is smaller, not in the pandemic and normally, that you know that hopefully kids will look to you from your heritage and be like, wow, you know, he's done this, and that's been a dream of mine. As growing up as a kid or going through drama, who were the people that you looked up to in terms of performance and thought this is that you watched and were like, oh, I want to be them, or I want that career?
I maybe not some of the more ruder films, but Samuel L. Jackson when I was younger, I loved him. Will Smith, I grew up watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like he's, I mean, inspired more than one thing. Chris Rock. I mean, at the moment I'm only listing kind of black actors I resonated with, but even growing up, people like Idris Elba, who I kind of met briefly once. It's people that. It's really a thing. You hear it all the time. Oh, I saw myself in them, or I saw myself, people that look like me on screen. But it's such a powerful thing. I just want to talk quickly about Turn Up. I'm not sure if you saw Turn Up, the concert that Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, talk about that.
That was incredible, because to see that many people on stage, it was so empowering. And I ended up watching it twice. Once I watched it with my housemate and two people also from the industry that we're bubbling with at the moment, and all three of them were white, and I consider them like allies, and the conversations that came about after watching that, and I talked about things I've never kind of had the courage or been able to talk about. It was absolutely incredible. We talked about experiences of racism. We talked about the whole Black Lives Matter movement. It was hours and hours, and that it was made accessible by seeing that concert, and so many musical theatre actors that I look up to. It was really, really, really special, and to be a tiny part of it as well, just in one of the virtual choirs, it really gave you a sense of belonging, and yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed that.
It's so important, and I think that again, it's something we're driving on here. It's I was talking to a theatre company that we might be working with on some new writing, and talking to them about process and casting process. And they're a young company, and that's exciting for us. We love new writing, love young work, young practitioners wanting to make the next generation. So that's something we do quite a lot of, and we do a lot of mentoring and the casting side and guidance and all this. And but it's saying that actually it's not enough to go, we tried, in terms of trying to get all ethnicities involved in a project, or people with disability, etc., etc. It's not enough to sort of say, well, we tried, we gave it a go, and yet you still have a white cast. You didn't try hard enough. You didn't go hard enough. And I said, part of it is that you're all white yourselves, and within, through our experience, is that part of performers like yourself, young performers, or even experienced performers, looking towards a company, they want to know, telling a story, for example, that somebody in the creatives will understand that story. I said, because basically tonight we switch off our computers, we go for a walk. I will not be racially abused. That will not happen to me. Do you know what I mean? That is not going to happen to me. And it's like, you can't, we have to do better. And it's not enough to say, well, we tried. We have to try harder, and we have to have more conversations, and we have to, work out what, it was really interesting that we put in our breakdowns, all ethnicities, we truly want to see them. And with our castings, we truly do. There's no stunt casting. There's no like box ticking or any of that. We generally want to find the best talent. And at the same time, we want to represent the world that you look out into a London street, and we want to make sure that world is represented with our casting every time, every single time. And we do everything we can to achieve that. But it's interesting that the performers, and Sheila Kerr was one of them, and that's what we brought her on for a candid Q&A, was that she said, I'd see a breakdown, I didn't believe you. I didn't believe that you wanted to see me. I looked at that project and thought, nah, maybe only white people have played that part in the past, and maybe that. And that really blew my mind. That and another actor, in fact, we've had her on here working with Grace Taylor, said, no, I don't. I mean, they do believe us because they know the work, but I read that, I walk into the audition, I think, whatever, you don't really want me in this. You're just trying to. Have you experienced that? I mean, you've only graduated under a year, but is that something, like, how do you view, when you hear about these breakdowns, or Amy calls you and says, listen, this, and this, like, what are your views on that?
I feel like it's two different sides of the spectrum. Like, recently I taped for like a rehearsed reading of this Sudanese play, and that was something where I was like, oh my God, this is someone's writing about this incredible revolution that's happened over the last 2 years, and there I was like, okay, this is great. I can really put my all into this, and I can bring things that I know about. And then there's the opposite side of the spectrum where I'm thinking, I know that I'm not going to get this. I know it's horrible to think, but it's kind of seeing a character and thinking, I know which way they're going to go with this. I know what I can do, but yeah, it's kind of you kind of try and prove that you can. It's tough. It is tough. For instance, I won't say exactly what, but there's a musical that I'd been auditioning for, and in the end it was an offer, but something else clashed, so we turned it down. And then they kind of got back and said, like, they really wanted you in it, and there's been this like track created kind of thing. And that was when I kind of said to Amy, this feels like a box tick kind of thing. Like, I mean, I could be wrong, but you kind of know when it feels like that and when it's probably like that. But then also you know when you walk into an audition and you feel like this could go either way. The Boy in the Dress, for example, that was one of the most diverse casts I've ever seen. Like, you had people from literally every continent, and and it was set in an ordinary town, Ordinaryville, where everyone kind of had these random accents, like we had like northern accents, London, etc. And it was literally just a society, and then it goes into kind of archetypes, etc., and stereotypes. But that for me was kind of, Hannah Miller cast that from the RC, and that was one of the things I kind of looked at and I was like, this feels right. There's nothing I can see. Not that I'm picking at it, but there's nothing I can see here that is wrong, really. Yeah, well cast.
Yeah, no, great, and it is that conversation. I think it is really important. Part of it is also encouraging writers from different backgrounds, whether that's ethnicity or gender, sexuality, whatever it is, to write these pieces, to write about their experiences and their worlds, and I think that's really important as well. And I hope that from when we all get back to it after COVID, that more of that comes out from these lockdowns, where people have actually put pen to paper and started that process. I think that we could have some really exciting work coming out, after this. Just another question here, Tom. Obviously, your biggest fan. You're a bloody inspiration, man. There we go.
Thank you.
Jodie Bird, what do you enjoy most about doing The Boy in the Dress?
Oh, I don't know. I think the feeling of starting something and thinking this could be something great, this could be something huge. Like, I mean, I'd heard of the books, I hadn't seen the TV film thing, and then I read the script and I thought, like, the team behind this, the company obviously behind it, seeing who was casting it already, I think being around people who, like, you kind of get imposter syndrome or something. I was standing there thinking, is this right? Am I supposed to be here? Because, like, the people 100%. Okay, that's my answer. The people, because the people made it for me. Some of my closest friends now that I've got from that job. And yeah, I think I went through some hard times during that job also. And I think the people really lifted me and kept me going. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Really good question. Just going to say we have around 15 minutes left. So if you do have any questions, please pop them in the live comments section here now. So talk about Ahmed in 5 years' time. What's the dream? Where does the dream settle? What is it? Like, there's the magic wand. What is it? What's the role? What's the show?
That is tough. I think this kind of goes back to the meeting I had with Amy very, very early on, my agent. I said to her, like, I don't want to be limited to kind of like one thing. I'd like to do as much as possible, and as much. New writing is a big thing for me as well. Like, I know they went new writing, but Joseph, The Boy in the Dress were both, and Stay Awake Jake are all kind of new things that I kind of put my own thing on. And I think definitely new writing is a big thing. I'd love to originate a role. That would be really, really great. The show Parade is my very all-time favorite show, and that I'd love to play Jim Connolly in that. Just throwing that out into the universe. What else? Oh, this is difficult. I rarely think that far in the future. But I think I'm getting a bit soppy, but I think the big thing for me is not like fame or anything. It's being fame is one thing, but being successful is another, and being able to give back to my parents. I think that's the biggest thing for me, because the amount they sacrificed to be where they are today, and for me to be where I am today, I think is massive. So I want to be able to kind of give back, either creatively, I mean, monetarily, they'd love that too. That's not even a word probably, but yeah, I'd love to, give back to my family and my culture, I guess. Yeah.
Brilliant. What talking about lockdown? How did, like, when it started? What was your feeling? How did it? Where were you? What happened? And what was the initial experience for you?
So I'd got back from Stratford for about 2 weeks, and then it all kicked off. So I'd had quite a few shows booked to watch in those 2 weeks. So I saw, funnily enough, Tom Dickerson, who's been commenting. He was covering Elder Price and the Tour of Mormon, so I went to see him. Had a couple of friends in Hamilton. My housemate was a swing-on waitress, so I went to see him. So I think I kind of got like all my theatre fix, and then it suddenly happened. And my housemate was also very ill. We're pretty sure he's never had a test, but we're pretty sure he had COVID. It was kind of a couple of weeks of fevers, and I was taking care of him, etc. But it kind of hit me because I was set to do a different job, which got postponed. But it was kind of like, because it happened to everyone at the same time, no one really knew what to do. And I wanted to head home to see my family, but then also that had its own risks because that's a 3-hour train, etc. So I stayed here, but my housemate Matt kept me sane 100%. Like this, if it wasn't for him and I think getting each other through, lockdown would have been a lot worse. There were obviously awful weeks, but yeah. But I'm trying to think of any lockdown hobbies. Matt bought this mic actually, which I'm using right now. So he's been doing. Yes, yeah, it's a Blue Yeti. He's been doing some recording and stuff. I haven't been to a barber's in about 5 months. I've learned to cut my own hair, so this is my own haircut, which has taken a few goes at. I've got back into some gaming. I haven't really, in Stratford especially, I wasn't really able to play on my PS4 much or laptop. So there's games I haven't played in years and years. So I feel like it's been nice to slow down. Obviously, this last year I've been so lucky and blessed and fortunate to kind of go from Joseph to Boy in the Dress, and this was the first time to just kind of stop and breathe. And so I think in a sense that's the positives I've taken from this, that it doesn't have to all be so rushed. Yeah.
And now with Stay Awake Jake, you're back at it, nice
Absolutely.
and busy.
Yes.
So tell us, let's talk about that. Stay Awake Jake is if you've just joined us, is a one-man show, one-man musical written by the wonderful Tim Gilvin, and it's won some awards in the past. It was on the Vaults and so on, and then it's being we are redoing it. We are recording. When I say we, because we're involved in the producing side as well as the casting side of it, and it's. We're doing an album recording of it to promote it, and then crossing everything to take it out and to perform it. So obviously first time you've done a one-man musical. It's 1 hour long. And how are you, what is your, like, it's pretty full on. There's no let up. You know, when people think about, oh, one man, when do you get a break? You don't get a break in this piece. So how have you, I mean, I know that you're not performing it, but in terms of a live performance, but I'm sure you are thinking of that. Oh, if I did this live and bringing that to it, do you feel this is a completely different process to say when you've approached things, even parts at college or Joseph or Boy in the Dress? Are you just mentally preparing differently for this?
Yeah, 100%. When Grace first called me and we were talking about it, Grace Taylor, the director, she said, I want you to be as much a creative as me or Tamara or Nick or Tim. So I think feeling that you can say, oh, I think it should be like this, or being able to actually speak in a rehearsal room and not feel like you're being shot down by like a scary producer or something. It's really great, and stamina as well. I haven't been in a show or dance or sung or anything like that I mean, I'm not dancing in this, but in almost 4 or 5 months. So just after the first day when Tamara was note bashing it and I was singing it through, the next day I felt like I'd been hit by a truck because I was like, my voice is like, what is going on? We haven't done this in a long time. So building up the stamina has been a huge thing, and mental stamina as well. Like if this was even a 200 or three person show, then you'd have chances to look at other people, but you're solidly the focus. And if it does have a life, that's going to be the most difficult thing, of never ever letting it drop, because you can't walk off stage. It's just you. And I think the biggest challenge though is translating Tim's idea of a live show to a recording, which it shouldn't change too much, but the idea that you've usually got two senses, you're looking and you're listening, but now we've just got to imagine that someone could just turn it on and pick, let's say, song 4 and just listen. So there's so many things that come with that that are going to be challenges, but also difficult, which is why it was lovely that I had a day at the studio this week. We had like a studio acclimatization day. So I kind of went in and learned a lot about kind of professional mics and distance from the mic and vocal quality. And yeah, it was, I'm excited, but it's going to be a challenge. Yeah.
Great. Absolutely great stuff. You will knock it out of the park. Just a small project for you.
Just a little one. Yeah.
Hannah asks, how do you find the Shrewsbury? Always found it hard to say Shrewsbury. I don't know why. To London. How do you find that transition?
So I know Hannah. I know we went to the same school and we did some shows together. So Shrewsbury to London. The thing is, art studies in Chiswick. So Chiswick doesn't really feel like London kind of thing. So it was difficult because I wasn't with my family or like my friends, but it didn't feel like I'd really moved to London kind of thing. I was also lucky enough to have like my childhood best mate, Tom Gordon, who went to Lambda in that first year as well. So I had him 3 stops away. So I had my support system. I think the biggest thing was not seeing my family. And I guess drama school keeps you so busy, like 8 till 6 every day, that you don't have time to be homesick, I guess. So I think I thought it was going to be a lot worse. It was still difficult, still really hard, but I thought I settled in quite well. Yeah. Nice,
excellent. And Tom again, would you ever like to go into the creative side rather than acting?
Yeah, the answer is yes. Not for a long time, but if I'm able to, yes, I'd love to direct 100%. It's nothing like directing, but having kind of teaching kids, and during my 3 years at Arts Ed, I taught on school on Saturdays at the Arts Ed extra school and assisted, and I think that really excites me. Kind of, I feel like I always approach things in kind of like a detailed way, that I like to know how other people's brains think, and I think being a director is a great way to do that, and to get, like, Grace alone on this Stay Awake Jake is so good at getting me out of my head and getting me to, like, yeah, I just think it's really exciting. I'm absolutely rambling, but I'd love to direct, and I don't think I could. I don't know if I'm capable of writing. I tried writing a bit of a musical once, which is very hard, not very good. But yeah, directing is definitely something I'd love to do.
Awesome, great stuff. And Grace is amazing. Grace Taylor, if you're wondering who Grace is the director on Stay Awake Jake. She's also the associate director on Six, the musical. So amongst other things, and she really is wonderful and has a great approach. And she has a great approach with, she's a great director to learn from, actually. She has a really great approach with people, and like you're saying about, you know, how to get things out of people. And she does lots of stuff here on the CCI as well. So tell us about how you get through each part. I mean, I know you're busy now, but obviously lockdown, you know, have you felt it really hit you hard in any way? And do you have any advice for people? Because we always get asked this, and we have our list of advice for people who are in lockdown, performers who might be struggling a bit with mental health. If you are, by the way, let me say this now, Mary Birch, we leave her sessions on, her webinars. She works with Industry Minds, and she is a therapist and a wonderful person. So you can, she does lots of sessions for us, and you can look back on our YouTube channel at sessions there, and she helps people, and she's absolutely wonderful. And Industry Minds is there. But have you felt that there's some couple of things that you've done that have kept you going through this lockdown? I know you've chilled and you play your games, but is there, like all of us, I mean, have our days where we're just literally like, oh my gosh. Do you have any tips?
Yeah, there's been some dark weeks and days. I'm really a people person. I my mood shifts kind of depending on who I'm with and stuff. And my friends and family, I think, are my biggest support system. There is something funny actually that's kind of come out of lockdown that has really kept me going. So an actress who I met actually at drama school auditions years ago called Emma Kirk set up a little quiz, just like a weekly Monday quiz. But it wasn't like a group of people that knew each other. She picked random people from her life. A few were like musical theatre, a few were like her cricket pals from home, a few were people she went to school with. And there was just a group chat on Facebook of us 15, and like 17 weeks later it's still going, and it's like the closest group ever. And it's so lovely. Some of us, I mean, I've only met 2 people on that group, and that really is like, it's a great way to start the week. It's a highlight. You get to catch up. I mean, there's the quiz obviously, but yeah, it's that's really having a little bit of structure, I think, is a massive thing. So start of lockdown, I could be going to bed super late and getting up and not doing a lot, not eating very well. I think the moment I put structure into my days was kind of when I started to get back and get running and that kind of thing. So I think also Stay Awake Jake has put so much structure into my days, like I was months ago, that mentally has helped me a lot. But yeah, my biggest thing is reaching out to friends, and they're kind of where I get that's my soul food, my energy from.
We have our quiz night, which we, again, 4 months with a group of friends, exactly the same thing. And it started off just like, oh, let's do a quiz. Yeah, great. And now it's themed. So we got up and like we did Grease and Grease. So you could come from the musical Grease, or from, so I wore togas. People, there's a good one. Okay. We did all sorts. And tonight is I don't know, I think it's Armageddon or something like that. So we have to dress up as like zombies and all this. There's all these questions. It's crazy. But it's got, of course, we're all theatrical. So it started as like, a bit of a quiz. And now, of course, it's theatrical. We have themed food and music. And yeah, it's ridiculous. Absolutely out of control.
Love that.
We have come to the end. How special to have you on here. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Yeah,
really appreciate it. Absolutely. And good luck with the rest of Stay Awake Jake. And with that, can't wait to hear it. Especially with the arranger involved as well, is absolutely outstanding. So we're really looking forward to hearing that. Thank you very, very much. I'm going to take you out of the live stream now. So enjoy the rest of your week. And hopefully we'll see you very soon.
Thanks very much, James. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful person and an outstanding talent. And we're very privileged to have had him here and to have him involved in the projects. And you will be able to see him later this year, fingers crossed, in a different project that we had worked on as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a really, really great day. Tomorrow is equally as fabulous. We have the wonderful Franny and Rafferty, who will be doing acting through song first thing. We have Hadley Fraser, who is on as our candid Q&A tomorrow. Eddie Slattery, Latin dance. Ali McNaught, custom warm up, and we are hopefully we are also going to have a little bit of a surprise guest. Well, not surprise, being on the website, but Toby Muller and Lucy Moss. So we may be having them on with us tomorrow as well. So spread the love. Please let everybody know about the CCI. We are trying to grow it and grow it and grow it. If there is a session that you have loved on our YouTube channel, you can copy that link, tweet it out, at CCI 2020, hashtag at CCI 2020. Also on Instagram, Collective Creative Initiative. This is here, it's for you, it's free. So please love it, use it, and share it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.